Gaius Flavius Fimbria was the son of the consul who was elected alongside Gaius Marius when the people unanimously elected him to his second consulship for the 104 BC year. Fimbria, one of Marius's most violent and partisan allies, served under the third founder of Rome throughout the German invasion, as well as the Social War. When Marius entered Rome in a purge of conservative blood, Fimbria likely played an enthusiastic role. It is suggested he was responsible for the deaths of Lucius Caesar and his brother, Caesar Strabo. By 86 BC, and Marius's seventh consulship, Fimbria had risen to the top of the Marian regime. At the funeral of Gaius Marius, Fimbria secretly arranged for the assassination of the Pontifex Maximus, Quintus Mucius Scaevola. Scaevola had co-authored the Lex Licinia Mucia bill, which forced all Italian Romans to prove their citizenship. Though Scaevola had, at one time, been a Marian partisan, the passing of the Lex Licinia Mucia, as well as a treatise he wrote on traditional civil law, caused some of the more radical elements within the Marian regime to eyeball him suspiciously. Though he was wounded, Scaevola survived the assassination attempt. When Fimbria learned of his survival, he tried to sue the Pontifex Maximus on the grounds that Scaevola had not permitted the blade to be fully thrust into his body. Although Fimbria obviously lost his case, he was appointed to the post of military quaestor to the co-consul, Lucius Valerius Flaccus. Before the end of the 86 BC year, Flaccus set out from Rome with the 2 legions who had been conscripted in order to take down Sulla. En route to Greece, an advance guard got separated from the fleet, and then caught in a storm. With their ships stranded, they became easy targets for Mithridates, who burnt their stranded ships. Many of the soldiers in this advance guard escaped on foot. Making their way across Thessaly, they immediately defected to Sulla's army. By the time Flaccus landed in Greece, what remained of his bedraggled army was fully disgruntled. Fimbria, sensing an opportunity, seized on the army's discontent to set himself up as a rival for command of the consular army. During the 85 BC year, leading his own advance guard, and hoping to curry favor with his soldiers, Fimbria allowed the legions to plunder friendly Thracian provinces, as if they were enemies of Rome. When these provinces complained to Flaccus of his army's conduct towards their women, towns, and possessions, Flaccus relieved Fimbria of his command, then offered it to Quintus Minucius Thermus. Fimbria was ordered to return to Rome to stand trial for his crimes against Thrace. But Fimbria did not leave the region. He continued stirring discord within the troops, and eventually succeeded in getting Thermus's troops to defect back to him. The historians give us a vague accounting of what happened when Flaccus, stationed in Bithynia with his portion of the army, marched to Thrace to confront Fimbria. We are told that Fimbria snatched the fasces, or symbol of authority, from Flaccus's hands, before chasing Flaccus back to Bithynia under heavy pursuit. Whatever the truth, the confrontation ended with the beheading of co-consul, Lucius Valerius Flaccus. Fimbria then seized control of the entire consular army. Fimbria, knowing he did not have the numbers to successfully take Sulla on the field, turned his legions towards Asia, and the fight against Mithridates. He hoped a decisive victory against Mithridates would make Sulla look bad. Fimbria enjoyed the resounding defeat of Mithridates at the river Rhindacus. However, it was the son of Pontus's king, and not the king himself. Eventually Fimbria caught up with King Mithridates, chasing him to the city of Pitane, in modern-day Turkey. In an attempt to keep Mithridates stranded in Pitane, Fimbria tried to convince Sulla's admiral, Lucius Licinius Lucullus, to blockade the port with his nearby fleet. Lucullus, however, refused to cooperate with a Marian who had been sent to kill his commander, and so Mithridates escaped. Unfortunately for Fimbria, Mithridates had already been weakened before Fimbria got involved in the pursuit. Upon landing in Greece, in early 86 BC, it took Sulla only until the beginning of March to retake the city of Athens from Mithridates' army. Near the end of summer, Sulla's forces defeated Mithridates' general, Archelaus, at the Battle of Chaeronea. He then moved on and defeated the Dardani, who had sided with Mithridates. In 85 BC, Sulla again faced the general, Archelaus, during the Battle of Orchomenus, where Archelaus was finally trounced. By the time Fimbria chased Mithridates into Pitane, The warrior king had already lost most of his major engagements to the armies of Sulla, and was ready to negotiate. Sulla, knowing he had to get back to Rome to protect his interests from the Marians, who had taken control of everything, marched his army from Greece into Asia. There, he concluded an extremely fragile peace treaty with Mithridates. This treaty was contingent on Mithridates returning all conquered lands back to the Roman Empire, returning to his own kingdom of Pontus, and remaining within those borders. Mithridates accepted the terms of Sulla's peace, leaving Sulla with nothing more to deal with, apart from the renegade army of Fimbria. When Sulla's army arrived to confront the dissident legions, the majority of Fimbria's men dropped their arms and requested permission to join Sulla's army. As he watched his army defect, Fimbria realized his gamble had failed. For political gain, he had murdered conservative senators, conspired at the assassination of Rome's Pontifex Maximus, incited mutiny and rebellion within the legions, and had caused the death of the co-consul. With no options left to him, Gaius Flavius Fimbria fell on his sword. His bid for power was symptomatic of the struggle within the Marian regime, even back in Rome, to produce a new leader with the same salt as Gaius Marius. Finally finished in the east, Sulla made plans to transport his armies back home.